It's another day, left jab, right jab, this is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim, looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting, if you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go, I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show, this the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? UFC Fight Night, Stephen Thompson versus Geoff Neal, aka UFC Vegas 17, the last event of 2020. It's been a hell of a year. It's kind of crazy. We had a lot of ups and downs throughout the year. Overall, it's been a very profitable year. First and foremost, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all you guys. As I won't be in your guys' ears until 2021, it looks like. And I just want to say that I really appreciate all you guys taking this ride with me here throughout 2020. You guys got to see my my new show, MMA Live Discussion, which has been on a brief hiatus. We will be back for 2021 for sure. I'm lining up a lot of special guests, and what we'll do for that show, just to give you guys a heads up, we're gonna have seasons. I'm gonna do about 5-6 episodes in a row, maybe take a break. I kind of gave you guys some hints how that would be going a little bit ago, just to clarify once again. So, we had that start up here 2020. We've had a lot of special guests on the show, man. It's been nice doing the fight companions with you guys. I want to get back to that once in a while for some big events. And I appreciate you guys first and foremost again. So, this weekend we got Stephen Thompson taking on Geoff Neal. They've got a hell of a main event taking place in the welterweight division. You guys know the routine. We got to take a look back at this last weekend, see how we did over there. But before we do that, I do want to say a special shout out to everybody that has subscribed to my other channel, Sports Betting Weekly. I have posted 2 videos since starting up the channel. And as I said, the videos will be coming up more regularly, but they'll always be up there at least a week. There'll be a video up at least every week, more like 2 to 3 videos a week once we get things going. The 2 free bets that I gave away over there both cashed, so you guys can go check those out, man. Shout out to everybody that rode with me for my Baltimore Ravens pick. I told you guys you could take the money line or the point spread. The point spread came through, and it would have came through even without that last minute safety. But also the Houston Texans that cashed on Thanksgiving. So for those of you guys that can go over, hit that sub button over there. It's highly appreciated over here. And again, I will be throwing out free bets for all types of sports on that channel, including for MMA, in regards to the UFC and all types of MMA bets. I will periodically throw some free bets over there, so please do go sub over there. And shout out to everybody that signed up for my picks over there on Sports Betting Weekly. Also, again, I'll be throwing free plays over here, posting videos for you guys, but I also have exclusive bets the same way I do with MMA. There's certain bets that I like to target. Obviously, there's a lot of choices in regards to the entire sports world, college football, the NFL, and all that going on. So, again, I do appreciate you guys. And now let's take a look back at this prior Saturday. We had a hell of a card, UFC 256. It was a very interesting card for me. It was not a profitable card for me, but I want to get into my exact picks. If you guys will stay with me here for a second, I'll try not to make it too long. And I'll try not to make this video overall too long as we go through the predictions as well. Chase Hooper, I started the card off at a very small play, a 1-unit play on Peter Barrett, so I lost right there. For those of you guys that saw that fight, you guys saw Peter Barrett was winning that fight. Did make that mistake in the 3rd round and got subbed. He got caught with the heel hook, but was throwing some nasty leg kicks. And honestly, I don't even think Peter Barrett's that good of a fighter. It was a fade on Chase Hooper at that line. Chase Hooper has to clean up his striking and whatnot, or he's going to get beaten down. He can, pull himself out of deep water once in a while with the submission and grappling skills, but you guys saw it, man. He's weak. His striking is not up to par. And I was a little disappointed because I thought that bet should have cashed, as a lot of you guys probably saw the way that fight was going. He dropped the ball there. So that kind of was, the summary of how my night went. If you guys stay with me, although I did cash a nice bet too, but we'll get into them all. Tisha Torres, came up, showed up, took out the UFC newcomer Sam Hughes. Gavin Tucker looked excellent out there, took out Billy Q. When Gavin Tucker puts it together, man, he's a really talented fighter. Rafael Faziv took out Hanato Moicano. Some people thought it was potentially an early stoppage, but I mean, it was a nasty knockout nonetheless. And Faziv, man, shout out to him. That guy is a dangerous striker, one of the nastiest strikers in the game. Cub Swanson takes out Daniel Pineda. This was another one of my plays in the card. I caught Daniel Pineda early, got a good line on him. Daniel Pineda looked excellent in the beginning of this fight. He definitely looks like there's something going on with him. He looked like he was carrying a little bit too much of extra weight in there. This was a guy that was taking some type of performance-enhancing drugs back in the day, although he proved that even since being clean and testing negative, on all types of tests, he still can perform. You saw what he did against Herbert Burns. We saw what he was doing in PFL, even though that's when he popped. There's definitely something going on with him. The way that he faded in that fight, completely faded, and then Cub Swanson looked to be in phenomenal shape and got the finish. So I was really disappointed. I thought that bet was going to cash. I thought it was looking very good at the start of that fight, and Daniel Pineda absolutely gassed out and blew it. Okay. All right, then we had Cyril Gain. I actually had a max play that was parlayed with Cyril Gain and Movsar Ivilov. A lot of you guys know the Movsar fight was scratched. So, that parlay would have cashed, and I still had a hefty bet locked in with Cyril Gain. Didn't pay that much, obviously. I got him at minus 380, but, put some money back in my account. And, I would have liked to have had that parlay fully cashed, but, that was free money on the table as far as I was concerned. Kevin Holland showed up. One of the nastiest knockouts we've seen this year. Took out Jacare Souza with that funky knockout. It was kind of like in the midst of a scramble. It looked like Jacare was caught snoozing and got put to sleep. I don't know what he was doing. And he was kind of like sitting in his guard a little bit, kind of getting up. Holland was just pushing him off a little bit, but Jacare was falling back very easily. It was very strange. And then just left his chin and his head there to be smashed by Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's now calling out Khamzat Chimaev. I don't think he wants that smoke, but shout out to him for having the balls to call him out. I don't know if that's a good fight for him. Mackenzie Dern against Verna Jandiroba. I had Verna here. I had a small play in Verna, and it was a very close fight. The judges had a 29-28. Verna, I think she blew the fight at the last 30 seconds of the third round. It came down to that third round. She put her foot off the gas pedal. She blew that fight. But again, the line was off in my opinion, and I stand behind that play. Long term, that's how I profit. You got to attack certain plays like that. Even if it's a losing play, if there's value there, you got to attack it. I got Verna at a great line, and it was a small play, and I lost. It's all good. And the next play that I had, the last and final play, I cashed on Charles Oliveira against Tony Ferguson. Got him at great odds, great underdog odds. The line was completely off. I'm glad that Charles Oliveira showed up, so now you guys know what I've been talking about for a long time now, at least for over a year. Charles Oliveira is the dark horse of the division. He is the best submission artist in the game, in the UFC, within mixed martial arts. Let me clarify that. I'm not talking about just straight up BJJ in the world, but in my opinion, he's the number one grappler and submission artist in the game. In regards to mixed martial arts. His striking is underrated. It's nasty. Tony Ferguson has defensive flaws. He's a hell of a fighter. You saw the heart that he has, fighting out of that armbar. Anybody else would have tapped except for Tony. But I was very happy to grab that line where it was and to cash on that bet. And if you guys are going to keep disrespecting Charles Oliveira, please let me keep getting those lines. I would love to see Charles Oliveira versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. How about that? Talk about a stylistic matchup, man. Charles Oliveira is dangerous on the mat. In the main event, we had Devison Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno. Maybe the best flyweight fight we've ever seen. An absolute, just amazing fight. Brandon Moreno showed that he has the heart of a warrior. Same with Figueiredo. These guys really put it on each other. If it wasn't for the point deduction, Figueiredo, gets the victory there. Either way, he retains his belt. They're going to run this fight back. I was kind of happy to see that Moreno was able to get the draw, so he gets the rematch. I think he's deserving of it just for the performance he put on. But I think we all know Figueiredo, he should have won that fight if he would have not had the point taken away. There was some controversy, too. One of the judges gave Moreno the fifth round. The judges could just never get it together, and it is what it is. But, yeah, man, that was the fight card there. It was an excellent fight card, and now we move forward to this upcoming weekend. So here we go, UFC Fight Night, Stephen Thompson versus Geoff Neal. like I said, we got 15 fights to run through here. So, you know, I won't make these predictions too long as we start off from the beginning of the card, and I'll try to slow it down towards the bigger fights. In the first fight, we got Rick Glenn taking on Carlton Manus. Rick Glenn, this is a guy that, you know, he's been around the game for a long time. For those of you guys that are those diehard MMA fans, you guys know about Rick Glenn. You know, he's held belts on the regional scene. He's an extremely tough guy. Goes by the nickname The Gladiator. Has a very impressive win over Gavin Tucker, which in my opinion was one of the worst beatdowns that we've ever seen inside the octagon or in all of MMA, period, because, you know, he didn't get that knockout finish. Whereas if he just, you know, he stunned Gavin, and then Gavin was just out on his feet for 15 minutes getting absolutely destroyed. And Rick Glenn, you know, he's a dangerous fighter. You know, is coming off a loss against Kevin Aguilar. That was 2 years ago. So, you know, he's been out the game for a little bit here. He's bouncing back, taking on Carlton Manus, the Alaskan fighter, who, you know, came into his UFC debut as the favorite against Matthew Semmelsberger and really did not show us anything. I was not impressed from anything that I saw from him. Maybe showed a little bit of toughness, but as far as the skills go, was not really that impressed. And I'm expecting Rick Glenn to be the more polished fighter that's been around the game. He should be able to go in there and he should be able to take out a guy like Carlton. You know, Carlton Manus maybe has a little bit of an edge as far as maybe a little bit of speed on the feet and some technique. You know, he's not a bad striker, but Rick Glenn is a very tough, crafty fighter that should be able to do what he needs to do to get a victory here. You know, there's a little bit of some X factors, like I said, with Glenn being out of the game for as long as he's been out of the game. But you see the line, minus 330. There's a reason why people are backing Glenn here. Carlton just really hasn't shown us much. Carlton Banks Manus, fighting out of Anchorage, Alaska. All right. Now we got another a good fight here. This should be an entertaining fight. This was a fight that was put on this card because obviously it was not able to be put together due to all the craziness just a couple weeks ago. But Jimmy Flick taking on Cody Durden. I like Cody. I think Cody's a tough fighter. Obviously, he went to a draw with Chris Gutierrez in his last fight. Chris Gutierrez is absolutely no joke. You know, that says a lot in itself. And he started that fight off very good. You know, the first round, he looked very good. He did kind of fade in the later 2 rounds. That's why we had a draw. He actually had a 10-8 round in that first round. You know, he's a talented fighter, man. Well-rounded. Good hands, good boxing, decent grappling. Jimmy Flick is a submission specialist. This guy is nasty on the mat. If he gets you down there, there's a good chance he's going to submit you. We saw what he brought to the table in his Dana White's Contender Series fight. Got another submission against a crafty fighter, or I should say a skilled fighter, and Nate Smith, who was 6-0 at the time. That guy is not a bad fighter, and Jimmy Flick went out there and styled on him. You know, I'm going to roll with Jimmy here. I think this guy, Jimmy, has more potential. He's coming in with the 3.5-inch reach advantage. I think he has the ground game advantage, and I think that he's actually decently skilled on the feet. He's tricky on the feet, and he could hold his own. Cody Durden might have a little bit of more of the power in his hands with the boxing and whatnot, but I'm going with Jimmy Flick, and Jimmy Flick's right around a minus 150. So, you know, from the last time this fight was announced, I think at one time it was right around minus 130, 135. People are on to Flick here. But as of right now, not a lot of line movement. I think Jimmy Flick's the route you would want to go there. But Cody Durden, like I said, is a very, very competent fighter. So, you know, don't be surprised if he shows up. And there's some question marks with Flick too. So, all right, in the next fight, I know you guys are gonna like how I pronounce this name. This is a name that I'm gonna definitely have to start to polish up because this guy is serious. Tafon and Chukwi taking on Jamie Pickett. Both guys coming from Dana White's Contender Series. Jamie Pickett's been around the block. I mean, he's had multiple fights on Dana White's Contender Series, and obviously none better than his last one against Pati, where he was able to get the knockout. And Pati was that tough Hawaiian fighter that a lot of people were high on. Tafon, the Cameroon fighter, this guy is a nasty kickboxer, an absolutely nasty kickboxer. Another one of those guys that's extremely dangerous on the feet. A big native African fighter. You know, we got a bunch of those guys, right? We just saw one, well, a native African. I know he's from France, but Cyril Gain. Come on, there's a big list of those guys. So this is another one that we're going to add to it. You know, 4-0, not a lot of mixed martial arts experience, but that doesn't matter. He has the kickboxing experience. His takedown defense is being polished up, and he's going to lay dudes out on the feet. Guy is a tank of a man. From what I've seen from him, he has decent cardio as well. This isn't a guy that just fades out. Jamie Pickett's just a tough, crafty fighter that's been around the block for a long time. Tafon's coming in with a 3-inch reach disadvantage and a 2-inch height disadvantage, but maybe he is the more natural, light heavyweight fighter, the more bigger fighter. Jamie Pickett, he's fought at middleweight and whatnot. He's a little bit more lean and lanky. Don't let this height and reach deceive you. Tafon Dadon, this guy is a tank of a man, and you see the girth, on his upper torso and his upper body, really his whole body. He's just a tank of a man that carries a hell of a power, and I am definitely picking him to win that fight. He is right around minus 300 right now, right in that ballpark. So, we'll see how that fight plays out. We'll see if Pickett can show up. In the bantamweight division, we got Draco Rodriguez taking on Aman Zahabi. Obviously, Zahabi being the relative of one of the best MMA coaches in the game, and Faraz Zahabi, George St. Pierre's head coach. Again, one of the most knowledgeable mixed martial arts coaches in the game. If you guys aren't that familiar with him, I highly recommend you check him out over on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's been on there a couple times, I believe, and he's truly one of the most knowledgeable guys in the game. I believe he has his own YouTube channel as well. You could learn a lot from that guy. One of the true scientists of the MMA game. So that Aman has a wealth of knowledge as far as mixed martial arts training goes and whatnot. As far as his actual natural ability, I mean, maybe that's another thing. Did start off his career 7-0. He was undefeated, but he's been hitting a tough road here. Ricardo Ramos, obviously, with one of the nastiest knockouts, if you guys remember that one. He lost to Ramos, who's a very talented fighter, and then he lost to Vince Morales. That's a fight you really don't want to see him lose right there. Vince Morales. Vince Morales is a little bit of a flaky fighter that you want your guy to go out there and win. Draco Rodriguez, this guy's a tough customer, 7-1, coming off a big win over there on Dana White's Contender Series just 3 months ago. You got that triangle choke, if you guys remember that episode. This guy looked good. There's a good amount of hype behind this kid. He's only 24 years old. And this is a good fight here, man. There's a big gap in age. If you look at the age difference, we're talking about what is that, 9-year difference. Draco's coming in. I mean, with the 1-inch height advantage and a 1.5-inch reach advantage. I mean, a little bit of the bigger fighter. I do believe that Zahabi should have the experience here, even though he only has 9 professional fights compared to Draco's 8 professional fights. I think that doesn't really tell the tale of the tape. As I said, Zahabi being involved in the game for some time. Take a look at the line here. Zahabi is coming in right around a plus 162, 160, 155, depending on the book. And I think that's about right, if you ask me, especially just based off his last performance. Although, at one point in time, if you could have gotten a line like that against Draco, if this fight was just taking place a year or two ago, people would have been all over Zahabi here. So, a couple bad performances, and then that's what you get. I think that Draco is just a better fighter, though. I think that he'll be more athletic, more sharp to the punch, more athletic, more fast, all that stuff. So, I think that he is rightfully so, coming in as the favorite here. Aman's going to have to show me something before I'm even backing him at any point in his career. And he's 33 years old, so doesn't have a lot of time left in the game. And, I'm taking Draco there. This is a good fight here. We got Deron Winn taking on Antonio Arroyo. Antonio Arroyo, obviously another guy that came off Dana White's Contender Series. It seems like everybody has. Antonio Arroyo is a sharpshooter, a very technical, nasty striker. I like his striking. And Deron Winn, obviously having that wrestling background. You guys know he's Cormier's little pet over there. And Deron Winn is a guy that I would really like to see maybe fight at welterweight or whatnot. I don't think that he's big enough to compete with these guys. We've seen him lose fights like that, just almost based off size. Darren Stewart was stuffing his takedowns. Darren Stewart was just a tank of a man. And even if, Darren Stewart's takedown defense technique wasn't the greatest, he was just such a big guy. Like, Deron Winn was just using so much energy trying to get him down. You saw him get gassed out there. Then we saw it again in the Gerald Meerschaert fight. Gerald Meerschaert, also, a very crafty, technical grappler himself, but he was just so much of a bigger man. That's why I faded Deron Winn in both those fights, if you run the tape back. Whereas if a lot of people were high on this guy, the thing was, I saw, even if you run it back to the Eric Spicely fight, The Tom Lawler fight, he looked a little bit better in that fight. That was on that Golden Boy promotion card. He did look a little bit better in that fight, but there was telltale signs that this guy was too small. Antonio Arroyo, I talked about his striking, but this guy's competent with his grappling as well. And I like Antonio here. I like Antonio Arroyo, even though he's coming off that loss against Andre Muniz. I think that you guys are starting to recognize Andre Muniz as a nasty, nasty fighter. If you guys aren't familiar with him, go check him out. Just pulled off a nasty triangle choke. He's dangerous in the game. But I'm going to take Antonio Arroyo. He's going to come into this fight with a hell of a height advantage. Only a 3.5-inch reach advantage, but he'll have the obviously the reach advantage in the legs, which is something that not a lot of people take into consideration. He has to be careful with those leg kicks and whatnot, though. Obviously, he doesn't want to get taken down and smothered by Winn. But I could see Winn gassing out once again. Being desperate with the takedowns, and I ain't picking Winn there. So Deron Winn coming in as the slight dog, plus 130. Arroyo minus 160. I think that the game is sharp. These lines are accurate. Right around minus 160. Maybe Arroyo could even be minus 180, 190. We'll see. Winn has to show something to us. All right. So another fight that was moved to this card that was supposed to take place not too long ago. Karl Robertson taking on Dalcha Lungiambula, the knockout artist who is coming off one of the nastiest knockout losses that we've ever seen against a guy you guys know I'm very high on, Magomed Ankalaev. Got hit with that front kick. It was nasty. But this guy Dalcha Champion is a nasty fighter himself and gets a lot of knockouts himself. So keep an eye on his power. He's 35 years old. This is his time. It's not like he has a lot of time left in the game, and he needs to go out there and needs to handle business. Karl Robertson coming off that loss to Marvin Vettori, where he was having trouble with the weight. You guys remember that whole thing. The first fight got scrapped, and they redid it. He got outclassed by Vettori on the mat. But before that, Robertson has shown some skills. He has shown that he is a well-rounded fighter. He can strike, and he is actually competent on the mat as well. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter here, where Dalcha is just a little bit more of an unorthodox freak athlete that has that knockout power. I got to edge Karl Robertson to win the fight. I just think that he's the more well-rounded fighter, as I said. But I would not be surprised if Dalcha comes out there and he shows up and makes this an entertaining fight. Dalcha coming in right around plus 225. Robertson, that line's pretty high on Robertson in my opinion, especially coming off the performance that he just had. Although, as you guys are starting to realize, Marvin Vettori is championship material. All right, in the next fight, we got Pannie Kianzad taking on Sijara Eubanks. Pannie Kianzad is a girl, coming from the Ultimate Fighter. I really truly feel that she has sharpened up her skills throughout the last couple of years. Her striking, in particularly, her striking is technical. I've seen her overwhelm some of these girls with her boxing, her overall kickboxing. Sijara Eubanks, everyone knows Sarge as the girl that has the grappling ability, but who's been also putting it together with her hands. Coming off a big win against Ketlen Vieira, she was the dog there. Of course, she had the upset over Julia Avila. Big upset there. If you guys remember, Avila was coming in as a big favorite. And the Sarah Moraes fight, don't look too much into that one. Pannie Kianzad is coming in as the dog here. And I like Pannie. Plus 140, plus 130. I think that Pannie can win the striking exchanges, and she just needs to keep this fight on the feet and not let Sarge get comfortable and start to push the pace, with her striking and mixing and grappling. Where Sarge is a very well-rounded fighter that's starting to catch her groove. But I like Pannie. I think Pannie will just be a little bit more slick on the feet. Belal Muhammad taking on Diego Lima. Oh, this bout looks like this bout just got canceled. How about that? I didn't even see that. All right, so yeah, that fight was just canceled, huh? Belal Muhammad tested positive for COVID-19, so that's a shame. I would have liked to see that fight. Move on to the main card. We got Anthony Pettis taking on Alex Morono. This is a cool fight here. I think this is a fight that Alex Morono is well deserving of. Alex Morono has been around the game for a long time now, even though he's only 30 years old. This is a guy that's perennially underrated. People look at his physique and they don't think much of him, but he is a very skilled fighter, very technical fighter, who's very polished. Alex Morono has grappling skills, striking skills, great cardio, great movement in there. He's very active, good footwork. Anthony Pettis, as you guys know, the former champion. Anthony Pettis is flashy. Anthony Pettis should have the edge here as far as the striking goes. If Anthony Pettis shows up and he's the Anthony Pettis, that we have come to have known when he actually does show up. I'm not talking about the Anthony Pettis that fought Nate Diaz. I could probably list off a couple of those, huh? Tony Ferguson. That's nothing wrong with the loss to Tony Ferguson. The Diego Ferreira, but Diego Ferreira is a fighter that's very underrated. But you guys catch my drift. We have to run back to fights that were further back. But Anthony Pettis has been very flaky. We saw him get crumbled by Max Holloway, but another great fighter too. But you guys catch my drift. Not the most dependent fighter or reliable fighter. But when he does put it together, he is flashy. And I think that I got to still give the edge here to Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis coming in, just as the former champion, coming off a victory against Cowboy Cerrone. That was a fight that I thought that he lost, but still looked good in there. And I could see this fight taking place in the feet. I could see this being more of a point style type of fight. That's going to be, back and forth. You know what I mean? And I think that I got to give the edge to Anthony Pettis there. At least you would hope Anthony Pettis would hold that victory. Otherwise, you're seeing, a real shell of Anthony Pettis compared to his days where he was the champion. Where he's losing to a guy like Alex Morono, who is a good fighter, but you don't really think of Alex Morono as a guy that's going out there taking out ex-champions like that, in my opinion. Pettis is only 33 years old. It's not like he's that old, but he is, battle-worn and has a lot of miles on him. So I still got to go Pettis here. But maybe the line's a little off, Pettis coming in, I think, just to touch upon that, I'm not sure if I did, but Pettis is right around he's in the minus 200s. Yeah, minus 235, 240. All right, we got Gillian Robertson taking on Taila Santos. Gillian Robertson's a girl that I like a lot. She's only 25 years old. The sky is the limit for her. Great grappler, great submission skills, a very strong girl. She's 9-4. She's training with the best of them. Has a great camp over there. She's put a lot of time over at American Top Team. She has a lot of those guys, some of those big coaches over there really, involved with her career, putting in a lot of time into her. So expect big things from her, especially as she hits 28 years old and whatnot. She has a tough customer in front of her, Taila Santos, who was supposed to just fight the other week. That fight got scratched, so now they match these girls up. Taila Santos is a girl, she looked good, very good in the Molly McCann fight. Absolutely dominated Molly McCann. She mixed in the takedowns, the striking, did all that. Molly McCann is a way more one-dimensional fighter. We saw what Robertson did to Molly McCann in her UFC debut. If you guys remember, Gillian Robertson submitted her there. So Gillian Robertson, the much more well-rounded fighter, is definitely going to be a much more of a test for Taila than Molly McCann. She did lose the Mara Barella fight. I thought she probably won that fight, but Mara Barella is a flaky fighter. She's athletic. Sometimes she shows up, sometimes she doesn't. That's not a good look on your resume. And then if you run her resume back, Taila Santos 16-1, but a lot of lower level competition there, where Gillian Robertson's really grinding her teeth out, in the UFC and whatnot. And I'm taking Gillian Robertson. The line's even, and I like Gillian there. I got to roll with the girl Gillian Robertson, the Canadian, but now living in America, right down the street from me. And maybe I'll bump into her one day. She's a good fighter. Ooh, we got a big fight here, a big heavyweight fight. Marcin Tybura taking on Greg Hardy. Tybura been putting it together as of recently, stringing off 3 victories in a row, which I was quite impressed to see. He took out Ben Rothwell, where Ben just seemed to gas in there. Speaking of gassing out, Greg Hardy, if Greg Hardy doesn't get an early knockout here, I would not feel comfortable having money on him as it goes to the second and third rounds. We've seen him. He's a very questionable fighter, pulling out the inhaler. And just seems to kind of gas out in there. Seems to be a very chaotic, all over the place type of fighter. But has nasty power in his hands. Decently technical on the feet as well. Obviously, he's been being molded over there by American Top Team. He's a world-class athlete, former NFL Pro Bowler. And this fight I'm really torn on. My gut kind of tells me that if Hardy doesn't get him out of there early, doesn't get Tybura out of there early, he's going to get grinded out in this fight. And that's why I'm going to pick Tybura. But I would not be surprised in the least bit if Hardy hurts Tybura, maybe gets him out of there early. I think that'd be his best bet. Excuse me. Because if he doesn't get him out of there early, Tybura has really been starting to wear on these fighters in the later rounds as of recently, and I expect him to be in Hardy's face for 15 minutes straight. So Tybura is also decently flashy on the feet, throws head kicks and whatnot, but he's not as fast as Hardy. Hardy's a lot faster, and Tybura's strikes, even though they're kind of technical and they're impressive, they're somewhat impressive, they're kind of slow at the same time. Kind of see them coming. I don't see him surprising Hardy with something flashy like that. I think it's more he wears Hardy out and then just puts it on him. And as far as the line goes, pretty much a pick 'em. A little bit of an edge to Hardy. Don't be surprised if that line starts to change by the time that fight starts up. I wouldn't be surprised if Tybura is the favorite by then, because people are gonna start to remember all the incidences with Greg Hardy. All right, in the bantamweight division, we got Marlon Moraes taking on Rob Font. Excellent fight here. Marlon Moraes is a guy, the old World Series of Fighting champion, came over to the UFC, he was knocking dudes out left and right, knocking out big names too. Aljamain Sterling, was it Jimmy Rivera? Knocked out a bunch of guys, man. This guy, really the sky was the limit for him. And then all of a sudden, it hasn't been looking that good for him ever since the beginning of the second round against Henry Cejudo, where he took a lot of damage in that fight. The victory that he had over José Aldo, that was quite questionable. I thought Aldo probably should have won that fight. And then he goes out there, he gets worked by Corey Sandhagen. He's coming off a horrible performance, man. The way that Corey just worked him was not a good look for him. 32 years old. Rob Font, on the other hand, even though he's older, I think he has way less wear and tear on him, way less mileage, and he's really starting to put it together. Coming off 2 wins, took out Ricky Simone, Sergio Pettis. Really bullied Sergio in that fight, used his size. Look at the reach advantage here. We got a nice solid reach advantage for Rob Font that I think that he could really use when he uses his boxing. And I'm taking Rob Font here. Marlon's gonna have to show me something. Rob Font has continuously showed me stuff. And even the loss against Rafael Sansal, very talented fighter. The loss against Pedro Munoz, got caught in that guillotine, one of the nastiest guillotines in the game. Bounced back with that nasty knockout over Thomas Almeida. I just think that the reach advantage is going to play into a factor here. And Marlon Moraes, there's something going on with him. He's going to have to show me something before I pick him to win this fight. And Font is a slight dog, plus 125. And I get it. Marlon Moraes is a little bit more of a proven fighter. He's fought some bigger fights. But Rob Font and what's he over there at the New England Cartel? Those boys are serious, man. Obviously, his main training partner, Calvin Kadar, is an absolute beast, has a big fight coming up, and expect big things from both those boys, and I'm picking Rob Font to win the fight. Michel Pereira taking on Khaos Williams. How about Khaos Williams getting thrown to the limelight? Has an impressive victory over Abdul Razak Al Hassan. And obviously the Alex Morono knockout was nasty as well. I think he might have even taken that fight on short notice. Or I know it was his UFC debut. So two big knockout victories for him. And now look at him. He's fighting Michel Pereira, one of the most entertaining fighters in the game. Michel Pereira, you guys know this guy, man. This guy has the capoeira type style. And he's really has shown that he's a lot more than just a flashy type of striker, in my opinion. Although, yes, he is flashy. He's very unorthodox. But there's more to the game, man. You saw him. First off, he absolutely styled on Diego Sanchez. Not to say that means so much, which again that was a victory. So don't let that confuse you. The DQ, but then he has a victory over Zalim Amadayov, the tough boxer fighter who had a lot of hype behind him at one point in time. But Michel Pereira ran circles around him. You see how dangerous and how diverse he is with his striking. Khaos Williams, on the other hand, is a guy that just carries a lot of power, throws from the hip. Very athletic, powerful fighter, but in my opinion, I think that Michel Pereira can be a little bit more diverse with his striking, with the kicks and whatnot, and with the speed. And if Khaos doesn't get a knockout early, I think that Pereira would be the guy that would more so start to style on Khaos in this fight. That's why I'm taking Michel Pereira to win the fight. This guy has grown on me and has really proven himself to me. I was looking to fade him at particular times. I thought maybe we would see some holes in his grappling and whatnot, but he's shown that he's a very competent fighter. And only at 27 years old, this guy is going to be in the UFC for some time with his entertaining style, and he's going to be knocking dudes out. and putting shows on. So don't be surprised if he goes in there and throws a spinning backflip and knocks out Khaos Williams. And I'm taking up Pereira to win the fight. The line is a close line with a slight lean up Pereira right now. So and Khaos is a dangerous fighter. Khaos is a dangerous fighter, and I mean, look at that. He has a 4-inch reach advantage. Crazy reach, man, for the division. That is crazy. But like I said, I'm gonna roll Pereira, man. Pereira's been really hitting his groove right now, and that's who I'm taking to win the fight. Another big-time bantamweight fight. José Aldo taking on Marlon Chito Vera. What a fight for Marlon Vera. This could have been Sugar Sean O'Malley if things would have went good for him. Obviously, Marlon went out there and took him out. Sean did get injured and then got brutalized there, finishing in that perfect record that Sean O'Malley had, that undefeated record. José Aldo, one of the true legends of the game. At one point in time, was the greatest featherweight to have ever done it, until he got surpassed, in my opinion, by guys like Max Holloway. Conor McGregor is a debatable one. People say he never defended the belt and whatnot, but still, what Conor did up until that point and the way he starched him. But José Aldo had a way longer proving track record, and I'm a big fan of Aldo. I was a big fan of him over in the WEC, and he's one of the nastiest fighters to have ever done it. And I think that people sleep on him, and they think that he's a little bit more over the hump than he really is. At 34 years old, I think he still has some gas left in the tank. Take a look at what he's been doing recently. Took out Jeremy Stevens, took out Moicano. The Alexander Volkanovski, I mean, he's the man, Volkanovski, the champion. And now the Marlon Moraes fight, he should have won that fight, in my opinion. And then got knocked out by Piotr Jan. Looked very good in the beginning of that fight. And then Piotr Jan is Piotr Jan. Don't get it twisted. If you guys don't know about him, you guys are going to realize very soon he's going to be one of the greatest fighters in the game. And he'll be on that pound-for-pound, the top of the pound-for-pound list, in my opinion, relatively soon. Absolute animal. And anybody that has to fight him in a 5-round fight. For that belt, so it's not even like you can go in there, steal a couple rounds, and get out of there. 25 minutes of war with the guy Piotr Jan, who is just an absolute champion. So just keep that in mind. But José Aldo against Marlon Chito Vera. Chito Vera is diverse with the striking, has really overachieved, in my opinion. I never expected he would be at this stage in the game right now, where he is right now. I've been following his career for a long time, and I've made a good amount of money on him. He's always came through towards the beginning of his career, stringing off victory after victory, and I always appreciated him going in there and handling business. He retired. Who was that? Was it Pickett? Was it? Yeah. The English fighter Pickett, he retired him in England. That was supposed to be kind of like a setup fight for Pickett to get a victory. People were sleeping on Marlon back then, and not me. I had him to win that fight. Yeah, Brad Pickett knocked out Brad Pickett there. Armbarred Brian Kelleher, my arch nemesis. Look at the two losses to very high-level opponents, in my opinion, Lineker and Douglas Andrade. And then it's been winning fights left and right. The Yadong Song fight, he won that fight, so in my opinion. So right now we're talking about a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak, and he's taking on José Aldo. And, he's coming in as a slight dog. Maybe some value there, but I'm taking José Aldo, the proven legend who, like I said, I still feel José Aldo has a little bit left to prove. And I don't think that he's done yet. I think that he still has a little bit left in the tank, as I said, and I'm taking José Aldo to win that fight. And I'll be pulling for him. It's a legend in the game, man. I would love to see Aldo bounce back with another victory there. And that brings us to the main event. In the main event, we got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Geoff Hands of Steel Neal, who's an absolute beast. Geoff Neal, one of the more underrated fighters in the game. People are gonna realize and learn about him very soon here. Although he has a tough matchup here against Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson, this is a guy that's fought for the belt. Against Woodley, had the 2 fights there. This guy, I remember watching his first his UFC debut, which was against Dan Stidigan, and he threw a front head kick, which was beautiful to watch. His lead leg just flipped up like it was like an arm, just pop, and knocked him out. And I was like, damn, this guy put me on notice there. The Matt Brown was a difficult fight for him, but then he bounced back with a bunch of victories in a row, and then he had those title shots. He's dangerous, man. We've seen him go out there and outclass very, very high-level fighters like Vincent Luque, Jorge Masvidal. He's been in some great fights with, knocked out Johnny Hendricks. How about the spinning heel kicks that he's hit multiple guys with? I mean, let's run through those real quick. So with the spinning head kicks, I think he took out Jake Ellenberger. I know he caught somebody else with it too, man. Who else was it? Maybe it was just Ellenberger. I thought he caught somebody else with the spinning head kick, spinning heel kick. The Ellenberger one was nasty. Maybe it was Hendricks. I don't know. Forget if it was. Either way, you guys catch my drift. Extremely, extremely technical on the feet. As about as talented as it gets with the striking. Obviously, the decorated black belt karate type of striking fighter. And then you got Geoff Neal. Geoff Neal is just an athlete with crazy power who can go in there and he can knock anybody out. He's kind of the new breed of MMA, and has just been quietly making a name for himself, coming off a big win where he finished off Mike Perry. Not a lot of people can say they've won in there and finished Mike Perry, so that was a big win. Finished Nico Price, took out Belal Muhammad. That's a big win. So he has some big wins here. Last loss, coming by way of Kevin Holland, one of the top guys in the game right now. I'm going to say this, man. I'm taking Stephen Thompson. You got to show me more than just all this, which I do believe is a lot. He's shown a lot, but you got to show me more than that for me to say you're going to go in there and you're going to be able to take out Stephen Thompson. When I think this fight's going to be a striking match, and Stephen Thompson's just going to be, more quick, more technical. He's going to have the footwork down. He's going to be so much more experienced on the feet. For me to think that you're going to go in there and take out Stephen Thompson, you better get a knockout. That's the way I kind of look at it. You better get a knockout. I don't expect Neal to necessarily go in there and maul him with his wrestling and whatnot. So I'm on Stephen Thompson here to win this fight. Stephen Thompson it's pretty much a pick'em, depending on what line. Maybe you can say he's a slight dog, but then again, in some of these other books, he's a slight favorite. This is a true pick'em fight, and I'm taking the more proven fighter. I know he's 37 years old, but the way that this fight's going to play out, in my opinion, is either Geoff Neal's going to get a knockout or he's going to lose the decision. That's kind of how I see it. Or Thompson could always get a knockout as well, but more so I see a decision here where he'll just run circles around Neal, and Neal will have a lot of difficulty with the traps and with the the setups that Stephen Thompson will do with the striking to score points. There's no reach advantage. The reach is identical, and the height is a 1-inch difference. Doesn't even matter here. And these guys are virtually identical, but Stephen Thompson has a lot of experience with the striking, and I'm going to take Stephen Thompson to win the fight, man. That's the route I'm going. But Geoff Neal, one of the top up-and-comers in the game, man. What a test for Geoff Neal here. Let's see what Geoff Neal can do. And, yeah, man, that's going to sum up the last event that we have of 2020. It's been a good year with you guys, as good as it could be. With what's going on in the world, man. Hopefully 2021 is going to be our year as far as getting back to these live events and me getting a lot of good content out to you guys. I've been promising you guys that for a long time, and that will be the case. I will be getting a lot of excellent content out to you guys. I'm going to be hitting up events all throughout the country, and nobody does it like the Teller, man. I'm going to be out there interviewing dudes, running around the arenas. I promise you guys that. And God willing, this vaccine starts to kick in and life starts to get a little bit more back to normal. I hope you guys are all doing good out there. I hope you guys are safe for the holidays. Merry Christmas to all you guys. Happy holidays. And I hope you guys get everything that you're asking for. I hope you and your families are all blessed and you guys have a great December and an end of your year. If you guys could do me a favor, please like this video, hit subscribe, check my other channel out, Sports Betting Weekly. And again, remember, if you guys want to work with me for my exclusive plays, you could reach out to me, at my email, MMAfortuneteller@gmail.com. You could shoot me a DM on Instagram, MMAfortuneteller_. And I'm all ears, man. I would love to work with you guys, and I can work out a holiday price for you as far as my packages go. And I know we'll have a little brief break in time for the next event, but I always work something out with you guys. Don't worry about that. I'll always give you guys, the most ample time in regards to when the package starts. I'll work with you guys through all that stuff. So reach out to me if you guys are interested. All right. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Merry Christmas once again. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And I will talk to you guys soon. I'll get some content out to you guys soon. I'll do something a little special for you. All right, guys. All right. Signing out. The Teller.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The Teller. The Teller. The Teller. The Teller. The Teller.